Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it is Friday, and it's Friday lunchtime, and therefore it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. Now, just to make sure that everything is in context, I just need those people who might be watching this on a replay to understand that this is the day where we are waiting for the election results. And that means that there are an awful lot of people with an awful lot of feelings today, of that I am sure. And so, what I wanted to talk a little bit about today is how do you balance those feelings? And hopefully, you will be able to see that there are ways of balancing your feelings, whatever they are. And we're going to be doing quite a bit of work on that. And I really appreciate those of you that come into the chat. If I can challenge you to think of all the things that people are going to be saying in the next 24 hours. Sorry, I'm just putting my whiteboard down. Going to be saying in the next 24 hours that you think you might be challenged with. And that's really what we're talking about today, the feelings of challenge. And I thought it would be a great practice run for American Thanksgiving for a lot of you. Where that conversation is never, ever easy because you've got so many different people with different points of view. And so from that perspective, let's see how we do. Hi, Jody. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin and does an awesome job keeping me on track and taking notes for me when I need it, and also supporting all the viewers in just an incredible way. And Sandy, good to see you as well. And I really appreciate, Sandy, your commitment to keeping track and being accountable. For those of you who don't know, we have a separate group of people who get together, and we call it our fitness group. It is not necessarily fit as in fit. It is about mental fitness. And are you accountable for yourself? Are you always giving excuses? Because if you are, you probably won't realize it until you get into the fitness group. Because what an awful lot of people will tell you is that once they start being accountable every day, they start realizing how much they've been lying to themselves every day. And Jody, perhaps you and also Sandy can give me some feedback as what has been the greatest impact for you being part of that fitness group. I know for me, it's a way of life. I get up in the morning and basically before I do anything, I check in on, certain things. And it's no longer a challenge for me. I'm no longer embarrassed if my figures are wrong. It is just what I do. It is my reality check every morning. And I don't do it to impress anybody. I do it to keep check of myself. And I wonder if you guys agree with that. It's not about a competition. It's not about pass and fail. It's about how am I doing with myself? And I'll talk a little bit about that as we carry on, because it is important to understand that perhaps the greatest challenge we have in life is to deal with our feelings about ourselves. It's a big challenge. And once you realize that, I don't think I realized how much I BS'd myself, quite honestly. So for those of you who don't know who we are, we're a group of people that get together 3 times a week. And we get together lunchtime on a Friday to talk about coping with feelings. We get together, these are Pacific times, by the way. We get together again at 7 o'clock on a Friday evening. A slightly different group gets together then when we talk about coping with life. And then on Sunday afternoons, we just lower the temperature a bit and we talk about coping with stress and getting ourselves ready for the oncoming week. And Jody is saying, it's the routine, and I enjoy cheering people on and seeing goals being achieved. It's a positive place. I really need that accountability too. Yes, I really, it's like, one of our viewers has been having really a lot of trouble with sleep, and she suddenly had 9 hours sleep. And it was just like, I felt it. I don't know about the rest of you, but it was just like, yeah, when you're accountable every day, you start doing the right things. And Sandy's saying, yes, I agree. It keeps me on point and in competition with myself. That's all that matters, Sandy. It's not about, now, Sandy, to be honest with you, I do take particular interest in your steps every day because you do record them, and I thank you for that. You don't realize by you putting your steps in, it encourages me. And I was really pleased with my steps yesterday. And I was going, oh, that's going to be good. All right, so here we go. What does coping mean? And every broadcast, I try to repeat this so that we can be aware and reminded. Coping means to invest one's own conscious effort to solve personal and interpersonal problems in order to try and master, minimize, and tolerate stress and conflict. I am pretty sure in the next 24 hours, we're going to have even more stress and conflict. There's no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen. So for those of you who are new, let me say welcome. And for those of you who are watching on the replay, please know that you're always welcome to join us on a live broadcast. If you choose to join in with the chat, feel free to participate. We love it when we meet new people. However, please be aware that if you put stuff on the chat, I am likely to talk to it. In other words, that's part of my stuff for the broadcast is what people are talking about in the chat. And so if you don't want me talking about it, at the beginning, make sure you put Sal, don't repeat. And in other words, this is just for the people in the chat room to see, and you don't want it to be on the live chat. Now, the reason I say that is because although I take the chat down normally within the first hour after the broadcast, I can't take away what I said, right? Because that stays on the broadcast itself. And so just be aware of that. So please participate as much or as little as you want to. We've had people who've watched and listened for years without ever participating, but they're still learning. And that is the magic thing. If you have a subject about which you'd like me to speak, please send it to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and just let me know. And by the way, anytime that you feel that you need to solve a problem of some sort or something, feel free to write to me. We are, in fact, like an extended family here on the broadcast. We're people who care, and we're people who together are growing emotionally. We realize that coping on a daily basis is really important, and we take every day as a learning lesson. We now see that life is not as we thought it should be. Life is unfolding exactly as it should. And whether we like it or not is the issue that we need to deal with. And that will be particularly true this week. I just wanted to say that I got a really nice thing in the mailbox. I tried to watch the comments, and I was talking last week about the face shields that I've got. And I thought it was really interesting that I'm trying to see who it was that Brenda, I think it was. Unfortunately, it's got truncated, and I don't know why. Yes, it was Brenda that wrote to me and said that if you get one of those face shields, look at it very carefully, because sometimes it's got a very thin film that is protecting the face shield, and you need to take that off. And by the way, I've really enjoyed having my my face shields. And now I'm trying to get a couple of them. So if somebody comes in, I can give them one. If it's somebody I don't know, but they have to come. And these are furnished apartments that I'm in. For those of you who don't know, my house caught fire just over a month ago, and I'm now temporarily housed in a furnished apartment. And so I've got people that have to come in to mend things and do things. And part of, how difficult for me, part of the deal here is that every other week they do housekeeping. They come in and they change the sheets and they wash the floors, and so sad. You sort of go, can this wait another week? If so, they're coming next week. And it's a feeling of great joy when part of me is going, I'm going to miss this when I go home. Sandy's saying, we ordered some of those masks from Costco that should have been here by now, but they seem to have possibly been lost by UPS. Still waiting. Well, awesome. I'm certain you won't regret it when you've got them. It's made a huge difference. By the way, also, I wanted to give a heads up. I'm not allowed to mention who does it, but I have one viewer that every now and then takes it upon themselves to change my banner. Give me a new banner. You know what I mean? That the picture that is on the top of Facebook or whatever. And I've used the two of them for the broadcast this weekend. And I don't know if you noticed the thumbnail that came up with this broadcast, but she does such a good job. And it's just like, she obviously gets such joy out of doing it. So you know who you are. And I wanted to make sure you know that I really, really appreciate the work that you put into it. And you always seem to find such a nice picture of me. Thank you. It's just so kind. Yeah, Jodie's saying, I love them. They're so nicely done. Yes, they are. And you can almost feel the love that's gone into it. It's, I often think, boy, and what people don't know is I didn't do that of myself. That was a viewer that did that. And I just think the love and care that they put into it is amazing. So, just bear with me a second here. Okay, so now, just before we get into the main part of this, I wanted to give heads up. We've got a couple of birthdays. Well, she's not here yet, but Isabel's birthday is today. And for those of you who know Kimmy, which a lot of you do, it's her birthday on the 9th. So I thought I'd just give a heads up for both of those. And happy birthday. And if anybody knows of another birthday this week that I haven't mentioned, please let me know so we can add it to our list. So for those of you who are here, just please remember to subscribe. And the other thing is, please give it a thumbs up if you like the content, and you can give it as many thumbs up as you want to. It all helps. The other thing is, click on the bell, and it's going to ask you, do you want all the notifications? And I would recommend yes, because that will give you updates on anything that I'm doing. If I decide to do an extra broadcast, or if I have something really important to say and I want it to go across the whole community, then I will put it up there. So please make sure that you've got that checked up. Duh. Checked off. Whatever. Got it checked. How about that? So if you haven't followed us on Facebook and Twitter, I use Facebook like our notice board, and really important. And I always put warnings up that we're about to go live on Facebook, Twitter, and on the feed from YouTube. So just so that you know, you will always mostly get 35 minutes. I don't know why I have this 35-minute thing, but sometimes I'm running late. So here's what I'd like you to do. If you ever see a 25-minute warning, smile, because you know that I'm running late. I have this pattern of things that I do, and therefore, if that warning is late, just smile and go, poor Sal, she's running late. I'm a great believer in finding reasons to smile every day, and such is life. Now, by the way, we're going to get into the main core of this thing, and we're going to be talking about challenges in various ways, but I want to just start by giving a disclaimer, just so that you know. The information I'm about to give you comes from my old mind. I've lived 73 years on this planet, and I've seen a few things, heard a few things, and fallen foul of a few things, quite honestly, done it completely wrong. And so the information you're going to hear, for the most part, is my own opinion. I don't have a piece of paper that says I'm very smart in this area or something. That's not what it is. You're going to hear my opinion as a human being. And also, if you happen to be struggling and would like some private time with me, you just have to email me and let me know. And then also, if any of you know of anybody that is trying for an interview for a job and needs a bit of help, feel free to contact me. It's one of the areas that I do quite a bit of work in. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was feelings of unease, maybe with a new habit. Do any of you have any feelings of unease? Well, actually, let's make the obvious one first. How many of you are feeling some feelings of unease with what's going on with the election at the moment? I'm pretty certain that none of us realized, well, maybe we did, that it was going to take this long because we haven't had that happen before. And it's true because, think about it, so many more people voted. So many more people voted ahead of time. So the delay in all of this was, in a lot of places, they weren't allowed to start counting until the day of. And in a lot of places, they always count the walk-in votes first before they start dealing with the ones that were delivered. And so, right, so Jodi's being honest, and she's saying she's frustrated and ready for it to be done with. Well, one of the things I thought we should all say, maybe take a little breath about and go, you think we're fed up with it? Can you imagine how all those TV anchors are going to just breathe a sigh of relief when this week is done? And, you think about it, they have been going 24/7 all week. And so, to me, one of the things that I've decided is that, and I thought I'd share this with you, that there's going to be an awful lot of people who are going to have different views from yours. And that's what I wanted to just help you with and challenge you with. I wanted for us to practice having nice responses to people who say things about which you totally disagree. Because is it not true that this happens to us every day of our life for some reason? I'm thinking about the stuff, Jodi, that you've been going through for the last few weeks, right? That we all have people who have views that are totally different from our own. But, you will know that you have emotional intelligence when you can talk to them without calling them names or saying that they're stupid, or when you can talk to them and just value their opinion. And I'm going to repeat what I said last week because I think it's really important. If you haven't seen Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, it really is a lesson on how to deal with people with whom you disagree. I think, for me, the best line in that movie was hearing him say to somebody that he totally disagreed with, and he just looked at them and smiled this incredibly kind smile and said, boy, that's an interesting perspective. And he just looked them in the eyes and he genuinely was interested. And I thought that was beautiful. And so in by way of practice, it's really important, number one, that you acknowledge whatever your feelings are. But number two, that you think about the other person. And the reason that I say that is because I think what happens to us, we only want to make sure that we get our point across. And what I would like you to do, if you can, is spend this week and maybe the next 3-4 weeks practicing this skill. And this skill is one of calm. And I'd like you to think about, what is it that you want in your life? Is it not true that we all want to be right to some degree? Now, it doesn't mean that we have to be right all the time, but it's sort of like a basic need. So if you hear somebody say something that's in total contradiction to what you believe, first of all, make sure that you validate their right to have that opinion. Which is, wow, that's an interesting point, right? Because we want to hear that, don't we? As human beings, we want to hear that we are interesting. I've got a really dear friend of mine. She's on my top 5 list. And she is really challenging me on a lot of points, right? Every time I talk to her politically. And I don't see it that she is wrong and I am right. I see it as practice on how to just stay calm and stay interested and stay aware of my feelings around this. Because if I know that she has every right to have those feelings and those opinions to the same degree that I do, then that is a really good place to start with. So, anybody else have any feelings about this? Jodi's saying that she's been frustrated with what has happened. Do any of you have any other feelings about it? How many of you are getting tired of it? Maybe you are just like, I've had enough now. It's been 2 years of this, and basically, it's like I need it to be over, but it's never going to be over. And so when I say it's never going to be over, you see, this whole thing that we are challenged with is life. And life will continue to give us these challenging and different opinions all the time. And how we deal with them is our choice, not somebody else's. I was talking earlier about what happened to Jodi recently. And she had a situation where she had family members that were bogging all over her because she hadn't challenged the pandemic and gone out to a family get-together. Well, hang on a second. They choose not to wear masks. They choose to do all sorts of things that puts Jodi at risk. So why would she do that? That's her right to make that decision. Jodi's saying, I'm completely saturated with the commentary on the election. I need to take a break. I couldn't process it any longer. Yes, I found that I do that as well. And what I do, funny enough, right now, I have a television in front of me and I have it on. Why? Because I believe pretty soon we're going to hear a result. And I obviously, in terms of history, don't want to miss that. But the other thing is this, that I do that a lot. I turn the sound down, and so that I can be working on something, and occasionally I look up, but I'm always watching what's going on in the moment. And so I think it's a really good idea to take a break from it. And what was it that we always talk about, the 10-minute rule? Maybe you want to pick up on it, for 10 minutes and then just turn it off. Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. And so what I want to know is, what are you going to do to keep yourself in a balanced state? If we know that human beings like to be right, let's remember that regardless of what somebody says, that we acknowledge their right to feel that way. Makes sense? So if you can do that, Jodi, I am certain you did that with your family members, which I applaud, and I understand that that is how you feel. And I'm sorry about that, but it is how you feel, and you have every right to feel that way. However, I have every right to protect my health. And so, this is like, if we both understand, or even if you just say, hey, I understand how you feel, and I know that you're angry. I can hear that in the way that you talk to me. And I am so sad about that. But I have to look after my health. It's my number one priority. Without that, I have nothing, right? Jeannie's saying, off the hamster wheel. Yesterday, our brother said, I'll wait for the rest of that story because I can't read that. While Jeannie's typing that, let me tell you something that I did something new this week. I had groceries delivered to my apartment here for the first time. The only problem was, even though I had put this is my real address, but this is where I'd like it delivered to. They delivered it to my old address. And I thought it was so cute. And I was so grateful because guess what? My neighbors saw the truck there delivering the groceries. And my neighbors came out and said, hold on a second. And they phoned me and said, did you order groceries? And I'm going, yeah. And they said, yeah, they delivered them here. And so they got them to re-deliver them for me. Isn't that wonderful? So, you look at it and you go, could I have been angry? Could I have felt really angry? I made a point of changing the delivery address, but do we all make mistakes? So when I spoke to the delivery person, I said, hey, I'm so sorry to waste your time. I let go of my feelings and try to think about their feelings. And I said, I am so sorry. I know that you're on a schedule and you're trying to keep your schedule going. And therefore, anytime you can deliver this, would be great. And if you can't deliver it, let me know. And I will have to pick it up somewhere. All right. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. So Jody's saying, I'm responsible for my behavior. And I keep saying to myself, your opinion of me is none of my business. Yeah. What you think about me is none of my business. Right? It's yours. Absolutely. But you know how I feel about you guys, right? So when you get that, when you really have that in your mind, that they can say whatever they like, it's just their opinion. Wow, that's interesting. Jeannie is saying, hang on a second. She's saying, I'm off the hamster wheel. Yesterday, our builder said he could begin. And then he called yesterday to say that we could not start until we had paid an additional amount, over $5,000. Wow. If we asked to be waived, we might have to wait another month. I was angry. Right. Jeannie also says, but I paid the amount so the builder could start rebuilding. And then I said, how do I fix this? Okay, so this is great example, right, Jeannie? Great example about, do I want to be right or do I want to have the building started? So the moment you pay the amount of money, you've lost a lot of leverage. I understand that. But they basically, that's how they work, right? Unless you pay the difference, they're not going to start. Now, I'm going to hit that in a minute, I'm sure. That the difference between what your insurance covers and your deductible or whatever goes on, right? I'm going to have that same thing. So thank you for the heads up, Jeannie. And for those of you who don't know, Jeannie's house burnt down completely. I was really lucky. Only a part of mine burnt. And so to me, it is about how do I get what I want, right, Jeannie? And that's what I hear you doing. I didn't want to pay the $5,000, but if the $5,000 could get the building started, it would give me time to talk about it. The other thing is, what if you had waited the month? All right. So it'll be interesting to see whether if you had waited the month, whether you would have saved the $5,000. That'll be something I'm sure you're looking into. So it doesn't have to be over. It was the same thing, Jeannie, with me and the issue about my shed, right? I could fight it, cause myself a lot more stress, or I could just let the shed go. And why was that difficult for me? Because I didn't have anywhere to put the stuff out of the shed, right? And so all I went was, this is my stuff. Let the shed go. It's not about whether I'm right. It's about let it go. I don't want the stress anymore. Okay. So what Jeannie is saying is that $5,000, they're not sure whether that will be waived or not. So they wanted to make sure it was guaranteed before they started building. And they guaranteed it by taking it from you. Okay. And so you may or may not get that back, is what you're saying. Interesting point. Jeannie, I found a quote that I thought would be really relevant to that. And, and it just happens to be here. It said, when we're no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. All right. So you knew that either you paid the money and got the building started immediately, or else you delayed it and had to wait another month and maybe still be in the same position. I so relate to that. Well done. You know, you did what moved your life on, and you paid that price. All right, so here's what Jeannie's saying as well. She said, our adjuster says our insurance should pay for this. Yes, doesn't mean they will, but they should. All right, as we know that there's so many things in life that we think should happen, but don't. And so therefore, you won't know until you get that confirmation. So I applaud you, Jenny, not easy stuff. And, you know, I'm pretty certain that if they came to me and said, you know, we can't start until you pay 5,000, you know, the problem is we don't all have 5,000 hanging around, do we? And so to them, it sounds easy, but I don't know, were you warned that that was a possibility? Because if you weren't warned about that, there must have been some anger about why didn't they warn me that there may be this issue. You see, and that I think is what challenges us, is that we had if I had known, then I could have spent some time collecting that money together. But well done that you had an emergency fund somewhere where you could, you know, pull out $5,000. I think there are an awful lot of people, and especially amongst my viewers, you know, who wouldn't have that ability. So well done for having that money somewhere available. And that is one of the reasons that I always say to people, please always have emergency money. And they say, if you want to know how much it should be, they say that 3 months living expenses is basically what you should aim for. Doesn't mean you got to do it immediately, but just every bit of money you get, put a little bit away into this account. It doesn't matter if it's only $10 a month. Put a little bit away and start building up that emergency fund. Because if you keep putting away 10 or maybe $50 a month into that fund, eventually you're going to have enough for a month. And then keep doing it until you've got 2 months, and keep doing it until you've got 3 months. Then you have got it. And the reason that's such a good idea to have is because if the car breaks down, you've got the emergency fund. If, you know, my situation, all right, which is, and Jeannie's as well, you know, you're suddenly without a home and you're suddenly without clothes, right? Jeannie and I both walked out with the clothes that we were wearing when the fire happened. You know, and so, yes, the insurance paid for some basic clothing, but, you know, you get pretty tired of, I'm right, Jeannie, you get pretty tired of wearing the same couple of outfits day in, day out. I'm definitely, you know, after a month, I'm fed up with them now. You know, I need a change of clothing. So, but do I have to? No, I don't have to. I just choose to. So to be able to have a little bit of money on the side where I know I can go and spend that, even if I don't get it back. How about this one? Gail Sheehy said that to be tested is good. The challenged life may be the best therapist. I am a great believer that our life actually unfolds as it should. Hi, Nada, good to see you. All right, which is, it doesn't matter what you're going through. I believe that all our challenges are there because we need them, right? They are giving us an opportunity to learn, and an opportunity to grow. And so if you can take every day and say, I'm going to look at everything I feel today, whether it's anger or happiness or sadness or frustration, or how about incredulous? I feel incredulous. I cannot believe that this is happening. Doesn't matter what I'm feeling. They are my feelings. It is not them that make me feel that way. I feel that way when this presents itself to me. And, you know, once you've got that one clear in your head, and that takes a long time to get that. you don't mind my saying so. I got a feeling of great joy this week when I found out, and I'm certain a lot of you have already found this out, but I didn't know that you could actually go to YouTube and find walks that you could take. Virtual walks where people literally have been on a country walk but filmed it so you can walk with them. Now, I did that once on a broadcast, and I was thinking, that is such a good thing to do in the winter months, right? When I can't get out, is just to literally walk on the spot and walk on a country walk for half an hour. Now, the trick is when you're doing it in real life, you do the whole 30 minutes. Why? It's the only way you get back to your car. When I notice that when you do it in real life or when you do it virtually, the temptation to go and get a coffee or, clean something or cook something is always there. And so I haven't yet managed a full 30 minutes. Yeah, Jodi's saying that she loved those walks that I did, and she remembered the bird sanctuary walk. Yeah, it's funny, Jodi, because I thought about that. I thought about the walk that I did that was a 3-mile walk or something that I did where I recorded the whole thing. And then I also thought about walking around the bird sanctuary. Isn't that interesting? So there's part of me that goes, the one was inside. But it was fun to do, and I enjoyed doing it. And I think I'm going to have a look to see what can I go visit that maybe do some more of that. So when you look at it, let me not think about what other people are doing. Make sure that you concentrate on what am I doing about my feelings about this. And Jodi, am I allowed to give the example of the birthday card thing? Because I thought that was, another lesson in how far you have grown. It's such a great lesson about life. Yeah, and it's interesting that Jodi is saying those walks that I did at the time, it allowed her to walk, even though, she wasn't able to walk. She was able to do that because she was housebound. She walked with me in her mind. Yeah, so Jodi had a situation as well, ongoing situation with some people who are finding it difficult because they can't control her anymore, which is really what it boils down to. But the interesting thing was that the people that have been attacking her, one of them had a birthday. And the question was, do you send a birthday card to somebody that has been so rude to you? And the obvious answer for a lot of you is, of course not. If they're that nasty, why would I bother to send them a card? But you see, that's not what I believe. I believe what they're up to is their business. And if I let them change who I am, and I am basically a nice person, not perfect, but I'm basically a nice person. So if I let their behavior change the way that I feel and think, then they have control of me. I don't like that. So to me, it is even more challenging for me when I go, yeah, I know they've been treating me like, you know what, but I'm still going to send a card, and I'm going to send it with love. And I'm still going to do the same thing, is I am just going to send love. Whether they accept it or not is not my stuff. They can just ditch the card or do whatever. That's not my stuff. The thing is, I actually sent it, and I meant it when I sent it. You see, I can be sad that they're so bad, in bad as a judgment, but I'm allowed to be sad that they feel that way about me. But it doesn't mean they have to change. They're entitled to feel whatever they like, same as I am. And so I originally, by the way, found those virtual walks on my Roku channel. And then I said, if it's on Roku, the chances are it's possibly on YouTube as well. And that's when I went there and went and had a look. So far, I've done Old Faithful in the geyser, and I've been doing another walk. I don't know, a country walk, and it's beautiful. So what I like about it is you can have any season you like. You know, you can do autumn leaves type one, or you can do, you know, a beach walk or whatever you feel like doing. It's a great idea. So we now don't have any excuses. I don't have any excuses for not walking for half an hour a day, right? I don't have to go out. And by the way, there's part of me that says, you know, it'd be a really good idea for me to open up my patio door, go outside with my phone and just walk, taking in the fresh air. Even if it's raining, you know, I've got cover if I'm on the patio. Now, will it look a bit strange to anybody that's watching me? Probably, but how many people will be watching me? You know, really. And, you know, there's that whole part of me that goes, it is our fear of what other people think of us that stops us doing these things. So now, I went to my house yesterday, and I got quite a few steps in because I had some cleaning up and stuff to do. And I didn't see what I was doing as hard work. I just saw it as a chance to get some exercise. Do you understand the different feeling that I had? And I put some real effort into doing it and just went, okay, I'm going to now, after I've done what I've done, I'm going to really now, you know, put some effort into it and use some muscles and get some fresh air, which was great. And by the way, I managed to get a lot of things sent to storage. Interesting feelings about this. I sent boxes of crud to storage. I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I had on my deck boxes that were filled with little plastic containers that I plant seedlings in and everything, and I don't have anywhere to put them. So I sent them to the storage place. You know, the restorers have my stuff in storage, and I literally put them into boxes, about 3 boxes, and I said, I know that you probably are rolling your eyes, but I need these to go into storage. You know, some potting soil, some this, that, and the other. You know, it's just like, no, I want that stuff. I should not need to throw it away. So I'm going to send it to storage. And, you know, it was very difficult. By the way, I did throw away nearly half a big bag of plastic. And that will be going hopefully today while I'm busy doing this. And so in a way, life is forcing me to downsize all that stuff. Right. And Jodi's saying, you know, fresh air is so great for you. It's like setting the reset button mentally. I want to tell you, as you know, I make a point every day of going out and getting fresh air. Even if all that I do is to go out onto my deck and just take in whatever I can see. But what I'm there for is not anything other than to get the fresh air. And it doesn't matter if it's raining or if it's cold or whatever. You know, I am grateful. And if you don't have a deck, I've got a pretty small deck here, but it's enough that I can go out, you know, even with a cup of coffee and sit and have a cup of coffee, but breathe in fresh air. And if you don't have that, Jodi has a great answer to that. She just opens up a window and stands there and you know, takes in the fresh air that way. And you're saying, well, you know, it lowers the temperature in the house and pushes up my heating bill. But, you know, you got to think about this. It's really important to change the air in your house, especially in the winter. And Jeannie is adding that our insurance agent gave me permission to throw away 4 big boxes of destroyed stuff. And I've been living around in our apartment. Oh, you've had them there in your apartment. She said, throw them away. Yeah, I'm working through my first list of the stuff they threw away. They piled it all up and then sent me a list, and I went through the list and said, okay, fine, I understand there's nothing there that I have to keep. And Jeannie's saying, I managed to be polite to her. Yes, they've got a job to do as well. I find it very difficult. Part of what I'm dealing with, Jeannie, is I have somebody on the one side, on the restoration side, who is super efficient. You know what I mean? And she's always trying to get things done immediately. And I literally have to slow her down. For example, I said that I had some stuff on my deck that was going to need to be thrown away. And I just wanted to double check, not thrown away, put into storage. And I just wanted to double check whether we could arrange that sometime. Boy, the next day she was busy trying to arrange it. I said, I'm not ready yet. Just hold off. I'll let you know when I'm ready. I just, first of all, wanted to find out if it's possible to do. Hi, Nyasha. Good to see you. Nyasha, a big thumbs up and a hug. You've been doing awesome work this week. I am so proud of you, really. For those of you who don't know, Nyasha lives on the little island of Tobago, just sort of like northeast of South America. And it's a tiny little island, and Nyasha has medical problems and then got diabetes in a little community that doesn't give her the support that she needs. And I want to thank all the DearMamaSal viewers who have been helping her take this journey, because she really has been able to understand the things she didn't understand before. All right. And it has helped her do the right things and get the right results. Well done. I'm so proud of you. Really so proud of you. And so I think what I really enjoyed reading, Nyasha, was how you felt about your success. All right, so she's saying, me too, thank you. I actually was surprised when the doctor told me he wants to congratulate me. Yes. And isn't that true? We all want to be congratulated. By the way, let's think about that in terms of the political climate that is happening in the US at the moment. And I know that not all my viewers are in the US. I'm not, right? But it doesn't matter where in the world you are. This election that's happening in the US, it affects us all. And so one of the things that I want you to remember is everybody wants to be congratulated. Are you big enough that regardless of who wins, that you will be able to say, congratulations, your guy won? I hope so. Because remember, if you can, that this is not any one person. This is the whole of the country is making this decision. And, it's like I believe that you've got emotional intelligence. If you can take a breath and go, hey, I'm so happy your guy won. I'm happy for you. I really am. Now, I might not be happy for me, but I am happy for the person that supported that person. Does that make sense? And that doesn't mean that you are not telling the truth. I would like to think that you would be happy that they're obviously very excited. And the same way is I can understand if they are very frustrated because their person doesn't get in. You see, it's like, let's have compassion here. Let's see both sides. Let's put ourselves in that position. All right, so Jeannie's saying, out of status threw millions at Maine to defeat Susan Collins, but we voted her in anyway. She is a decent woman with integrity. I totally agree. I have a lot of time for Susan Collins. I'm glad you mentioned her, Jeannie. I really do. I think that she is exactly that. I really had a sense that she has integrity. And she doesn't just go with the flow. She goes with what she believes, regardless if it makes her unpopular. And there have been a couple of times that she's, voted against what's going on and what probably your political party would want her to vote for. But she has stood firm. So I totally agree with you. There are a couple of politicians out there that I go, it's the same thing. I'm a huge fan to this day of John McCain. Why? Because I really felt that he stood up for what he believed. He didn't just toe the party line. If he didn't believe in something, he didn't do it. And, I really respected him for that. And, I know this sounds strange, but, there was just like, I can't help thinking this week that he's watching what's happening in Arizona and smiling and going, you see, you see, we have choices. And I just very touched. I got tears in my eyes when I think about John McCain. All right, so Nyasha's saying that the congratulations she got from the doctor, this happened because of my new life. And I'm still in shock. And now I'm able to exercise. I could not have done that before. Yeah, I know, Nyasha. We are so proud of you, honey. I hope you know that your success is our success. You know what I mean? We feel it. You're not alone in feeling the joy, because I am pretty certain anybody that's followed your journey over the last few months feels the same way. Right? It's just like, way, well done. So is anybody dealing with any extra stress this week? Other than the election? All right, so hang on a second. Benji the Ash is saying, I'm watching the election very intently. Trinidad and Tobago does trade with America. So I'm interested to know who the president will be now. Yes, not just the president, but what they stand for and what may change. I can tell you one thing, that whoever takes on the next presidency is going to have one heck of a hard time. I mean, when you think about it, the debt is huge, the virus is huge. It's not going to be an easy time for anybody. And that is the sadness of it. I want to tell you, just so you know, Nyasha, I'm sitting in Canada and I bit off 3 nails watching that election, that first day. I normally have beautiful long nails and I cut them all off recently, but literally, I literally sat and I chewed 3 nails and I went, there has to be better food. And I had to stop myself and say, that is enough. You have destroyed your physical self for these elections. That's enough. Jody's saying extra stress with health-related issues. But I'm planning, processing, and coping thanks to support from my closest friends. Yeah, Jody, so again, if you see it all as lessons in coping, and I know that you've probably got to the stage where you go, haven't I had enough now? Oh, I've got an itchy nose. Sorry, people. Haven't I had enough now? And the answer is obviously not. Because you are continuing to learn and continue to adjust. And by the way, I thought that picture that you sent was the prettiest picture I have seen of you. And there's part of me that goes, I'd really love to put it on Facebook so that people can see just how gorgeous you are. Because, I think we all have this mental image of our viewers, but very few people get to see each other. All right. And Janie's saying, extra stress, please start rebuilding. I have less patience nowadays. My husband is being difficult. Yes. I can feel my patience is getting less in some ways, Jeannie, and I haven't got to cope with what time. How long is it since your farm? Yours has been 6 months, I think, right? And I've only done 1. And I can totally relate. It's just like, okay, can we start rebuilding now? And Jody is saying, it's my desire to continue to share my experiences and help others cope with their challenges. Yes, you see, that's how I do life. which is, each of these is an experience, and I'm not the only one that experiences them. The same way as I've said time and time again, I am pretty certain Jeannie never dreamt that she'd be teaching me how to cope with a fire and the aftermath of one, but she is, right? And everything that I hear her talk about, I'm going, okay, be prepared, not scared. That could happen to you. Kimmy, I know we've got a birthday coming up in a couple of days, so happy birthday in case I don't see you again, but also congratulations. That was great that you got some sleep. I was so happy about that. Thank you for sharing that. Nyash is saying, why do things have to change? Why can't administrations and services stay the same with different governments? Our country is the same way. I ask myself a question over and over. Well, that is interesting. All right, so let's see what people's answers to you are. I don't want to give my opinion on this, but we've got an awful lot of people that are affected by this. Why do we change? Why do we have elections every 4 years? Why do we change the government when it's so disruptive? Nyasha, I guess part of me goes, would you rather live in Russia or in China, where you have no say? There they keep the same administration in until there's a riot or a civil war or something. They just keep the same person in. Would you prefer that? Yeah, and Kimmy's saying, thank God that we changed government. Yes, I think it's about the will of the people. You see, it can only happen, Nyasha, in countries where there is a democracy. That is, that we have a choice. The only countries where they don't change administrations are where the people do not have a choice. You get told. But it's a good question to ask. Jean is saying politics are difficult. The media is biased. Our country is trying to defund the police and lean to one side. You know something? This is the whole thing, all right? People get to have their vote. One of the things I keep reminding people is, whichever way it goes, could you remember that the American people voted for this? Yes, and I am certain, Kimmy, is saying, I'll be happy when the election is over. I want to tell you something. You are not alone. But the reason it has been so challenging is because it is a democracy. It is a democracy. And for that, be thankful. Even if the democracy works against you, right? You need to be thankful that you live in a democracy. Nyash is saying, wow, there's no election in Russia or China. I didn't think of that. Well, actually, they do have elections, but it's not quite the same, Nyasha. They know who's going to win before they do it. You know what I mean? Right, Kimmy saying, and I have been bullied by my family. And that's why I'm having this conversation today, Kimmy. It is about how do you stay respectful to the bullies? And what I was saying, one of the things that I've been saying about this very tight race that they're in right at the end here is that I know this is going to be followed by countless court actions and all sorts of things. And so when people start talking about it, I just say, you know something? I trust the court system. And I am sure the court system will keep to the law. And that is what we need them to do. And Kimmy saying, I've been getting bullied by the family, but I have just been ignoring them. Right. What I was saying, Kimmy, is don't ignore them. If you really want to know you've got emotional intelligence, respect their right to have their opinion. All right. You may not agree with it, but it doesn't mean you have to be rude to them. It means that, hey, I don't agree with you, but that's okay. I admire the fact that you have an opinion. And I so enjoy living in a democracy where you and I can have two totally different opinions and we get to voice it. I am so grateful for that. Find something that everybody can agree on. Jody's saying, when I hear people say, my one vote doesn't count, I would like to point out to them that the numbers in this current election, yes, your vote counts. And Jody, you remember, that's why I said to you, don't you dare stay at home and not vote. Find a way of getting that vote in, and you did. All right, so Jeannie's saying about politics in our family, we don't discuss politics to stay above reproach. I hate to fight our daughters, so we do not engage. That is your right. In any family, you can say, or in any relationship, you can say, hey, I choose not to discuss politics. And they're going to go, yeah, but, and you go, no, but I choose not to discuss politics. It's a very personal thing to me, and I'd like to not challenge you on it or anything else. However, Jeannie, one of the things, I had that discussion with Benji once, Jeannie, and I want to share it because it was an interesting one. Benji also doesn't discuss politics ever. And I called him to task on that one time. And I said, you know something, honey, I love you to bits. But the only way I find out whether what I think is valid or not is to discuss it. So if you're not giving me your feedback, if you're not telling me why you do X, Y, and Z, then I don't know if I'm getting too biased by the media or whatever. Now, it's not that we necessarily disagree on politics. It's about, I love hearing people's input because that makes me, it challenges me, it makes me think, and I like that. Nyasha's saying, I've been hearing talks of court matters being involved. Absolutely. And she's saying, would that happen? Absolutely, it'll happen. Because if they think, or they want to think, whatever it is, if they think that there's been something, that is not lawful, they have the right to challenge that. And I totally am okay with that. So that's why I'm saying, I'm just going to say to people, hey, I know this is very close, and I know that it must be very concerning on both sides. So I'm going to leave it to the courts and trust that they will make the lawful decision that they need to do. Some of you may remember when Bush Gore, that fight happened in Florida, and they had to take it to court. The courts had to make a decision. So, yeah, I remember that. All right, so Kimmy says, I listen to them, but when they step over that line and are rude and tell me I'm uneducated, stupid, or threatening me, that's when I stop talking. Yeah, because it just became personal, right? I respect your opinion, but you choose not to respect mine. You choose to call me names. That's sad. And Kimmy's saying, I have even blocked family because they're threats and being rude towards me. It's your right, Kimmy. And I'm certain they don't like losing control of you that way. And they will fight harder. And I want to tell you that Jody totally relates to that. How about this one? Carl Sagan said that our posturings, our imagined self-importance and delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great developing cosmic dark. See, we make this all so incredibly about us, and it isn't. I keep trying to remember this isn't my choice, it is America's choice. It is not my choice. Will it affect Canada? You bet it will. Will it affect the world? You bet it will. But it's not my choice. It is America's choice. And I need to be able to accept America's choice. I might not like it, but I can accept it and be happy for the people that are going to be very happy. Jody's saying, I have two cousins that have completely opposite political views from mine. And we never let that get in the way of our relationship. We appreciate each other and discuss our views with respect. That's what I do as well with people I love, which is they know I don't feel the same way, but we can still talk about it. By the way, whenever Big Brother Jeff comes to visit, he thinks Canada is insane. You know, right? He thinks we're way too liberal, and he goes on forever. And I keep thinking to myself, that's not a nice thing to do when you're visiting somebody's country, but it's my brother. And so what I do is, for the most part, I keep reminding myself he's only going to be here for a week, and I only get to see him once every few years. So I think I can just suck it up for a little while. And if he gets really out of hand, I go, I don't agree with you. What do you mean you don't agree with me? Any intelligent person? And I go, and I don't like it when you call me names because I have a different point of view either. And I'll just have a little bit of that. And then I just go back to not, just ignoring it. So if it does start to get political, how about you do the 10-minute rule? Hey, okay, you guys want to talk politics? That's fine. You get 10 minutes. Then we don't talk about it again. 10 minutes, go for it. Right, and Jodi's saying, Kimmy, the key for us is to listen and learn, but not to push our views onto one another. Right, and that's what I'm saying. I've got a very dear friend, and we have very different political points of view. But I love it because we get to talk about why we have that feeling. How about this one? Seth MacFarlane said, what makes me happy is just keeping my brain challenged and stimulated and on its toes. You see, I keep every bit of news I see, and I hear that, this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or what was it? There was so much negative press going on yesterday. Like, I just kept trying to say, if I were on the other side, how would I feel about this? Right? What if I'm only hearing one side of the story? I wonder what the other channel is saying about this, and change channels and listen. And it's quite amazing, quite honestly. And Nash is saying, Kimmy, all I did back then was hear all the insults and used it to hurt me a lot. Now it doesn't hurt me when I get insulted by them. Yes, because you have put up that barrier, Nyasha, that goes, you can throw, you can say those things, but it's not going to affect who I am. And that is wonderful. Remember Jodi in the Christmas card, the birthday card, right? You can call me names. It doesn't mean I'm going to have revenge. I'm not going to punish you for I'm going to feel sad. I'm not going to punish you. I'm still going to be the nice person I am and send you a birthday card. Jeannie's saying, this is the month for the big sales and appliances. We hope to purchase some soon. We love the Bosch dishwasher. It's so quiet and efficient. Yes, I've got a friend of mine who's got one, and they would agree with you. Do not get the dishwasher I've got in here or the washing machine. I didn't realize how quiet my dishwasher and my washing machine were until I moved into this apartment. Quite honestly, when I've learned now to put them both on at the same time, Jeannie, so that, and then I put the descriptive stuff on the television so I can read what people are saying, because when those two are on, I cannot hear anything on my television. Now, at my house, my dishwasher was so quiet, I never noticed it once it was on. In fact, quite honestly, there were times I had to put my ear next to it to find out if it was going. And my washing machine, I could hear, but it's nothing like this one. Kimmy's saying that, Nyasha, I have told my brother's daughter the same thing. He passed away not long ago, but she was using his Facebook to say rude things. So I just said, it's your opinion. And I left. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important when we, they have the right to have their opinion. People don't have to agree with us, people. Right? It is our challenge to not let their views affect who we are. Doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the views. It's just like it is practice for us not to get bent out of shape by it. So is anybody coping with more feelings of less money this week? Has anything happened? Do any of you have any fears, let's say, about the change in the, if there's a change in the election results, do you fear what could happen to you financially? I'm pretty certain those of you who are medically challenged have a lot of fears around that. And so I just thought I would say that if any of you've got those fears going on, let's talk about them so we can try and help you be prepared, not scared, either way. By the way, one of the things that I did this week, because I really did call for help, which is not something I do easily. If you know me well, you know that's not high on my list of talents. But I did call for help from the restoration people, and I called for help from Doug, my son Doug. I said to Dougie, could he come tomorrow and just help me for a couple of hours, clean up. The shed should be gone by tomorrow, I'm hoping. And I just thought, I would like some help just cleaning up and getting most of it done, because then I've got another week to fine tune it. And there's an inspection, I think, on the 16th. So I've got a whole week then. So Kimmy's saying, that's why I walk away. It's not worth wasting my time. Yes. And we waste so much time trying to change people's opinion. What I find I do is I am aware that I have my opinion based on my input. And so what I do, Kimmy, though, is I do say to my friends who have different opinions, okay, explain, I don't quite understand X, Y, and Z. Explain to me why you think that's important. Or, what am I missing here? I actually use them as a resource, because that helps, I find. Because again, it says I'm interested in your point of view. I'm interested in why you think this is a good thing. So Nyesha's saying, okay, all right. Nyesha's saying, Kimmy, something happened recently with my medical device, and all I got were insults. They asked what's happening. I refused to answer. Insults came, but they didn't answer. But the truth is they were afraid. You've got that now, Nyesha. Well done. That they were afraid that I would ended up in hospital. I know differently now. So what I'm saying is sometimes insults are a deflective mechanism exhibiting their fears. Nyasha, you are doing awesome, all right? And that's one of the things that we need to understand is people attack us because they can't control it. And it's wonderful that you can see that. And Kimmy's saying, they don't want to explain, they just want to attack. Yeah. And you see, I'm just so proud of you guys for being able to see that. I'm just so proud of you that you are putting these life lessons into practice and that you can see the difference it makes in your life. Well done. It's like, isn't it amazing when it starts to make sense? And you go, how could I not have seen this for so long? I'm just touched that you get to see it now. I had to wait so much longer in my life before I understood any of this stuff. I think I understood it intellectually, but I didn't put it into practice the way that I can today. You see, when you realize that life is unfolding exactly as it should, then you go, I'm allowed to have my voice. I'm allowed to vote. I'm allowed to say I don't agree with this. But the truth is life is unfolding as it should. So sometimes it unfolds and it's not our way. And that's okay. Don't you think it's pretty controlling if we think everything needs to go our way? And so to me, this is like, it is magical when you can go, I don't particularly like it, but it's okay. It is a challenge for me. I need to get on with my life. I need to not let it bend me out of shape. I need not to chew my nails. It made me laugh, quite honestly. I was sitting there, I went, oh, that's a nail gun. So I changed nails. This one, I actually bit to the core. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I didn't get control until the third one was gone. And it was just like, really? And then I thought, I don't even have enough time for them to regrow for Christmas. And I'm going, well, that probably isn't a big issue because you probably won't be able to go anywhere for Christmas this year. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, not a biggie. Now, I want to tell you something. I had, talking about coping with people, I had a feeling of great love this week. How many of you remember the blankie that I was given the night of the fire? And that I held on to it for 2 weeks because it was my security blanket and it felt so wonderful. And, the incredible thing was that those people gave me the blankie back. They heard the story that I actually had thought about buying it from them, and they just delivered it to my neighbors and said, give this back to Sal. She deserves to keep it. I don't know about you, but that really it touched my very soul somehow. Let me see what Kez, good to see you. Kez is saying, hi, everyone. I found with some people that I had in my life that they were so mean to me because they didn't want to admit they were wrong and look stupid. Now, we don't want anybody to have to admit that they're wrong or to feel stupid, right? The trick is, if we keep discussing things, hopefully they will educate themselves in some way. Jeannie's saying we waited 20 minutes outside before we voted. It was warm inside and all went easily. And then outside, 2 church ladies were selling coffee, muffins, and cookies, etc. Everybody was pleasant. And that's how it should be, regardless of how you vote. All right, we should be respectful. And Kimmy's saying, I have been watching the results. It's been at standstill for a long time. Yes, because they have to really count all those votes. That's you do understand that in some places they were able to start counting votes earlier. But these ones that we're waiting for, they were not allowed to start coding. They weren't allowed to start counting votes until Election Day. And first they had to count the votes of the election day. And then only then could they start counting the mail-in votes, which were much bigger in some cases. She's saying, after all happens, I asked Mom if she was scared, and she said yes. Whenever things go wrong now, Sal, I say, it is what it is. That touches my soul. You see, Nyasha, you have gained incredible emotional intelligence in just the last year, all right? You see, the fact that you can actually ask your mom if she's scared and realize that she is scared and she does fear for you. She's your mother, for goodness sake. But, people have a funny way of showing that, don't they? A very funny way of showing it sometimes. They attack us instead of giving us a hug. And Nyasha's saying, I never knew these things. No. And that's why I share them, Nyasha. Because I didn't know them either. And that's the very reason I do the work that I do. All right? Because I'm pretty certain you are not alone, Nyasha. Most of us were not taught this. No, most of us didn't understand the psychology behind these things. And I can remember, Nyasha, when I started studying this side of stuff, I remember saying to somebody, why do they write it all in this gobbledygook? Why don't they just write it in English so regular people can understand? And I went, okay, maybe that's my job. And maybe I'll just take some of that on. And that's interesting. Kimmy's saying you can also have a mother that cares or a mother that doesn't care. Yeah, and the question I would have on that, I agree with you, Kimmy. Um, but you know, the point that I have to say, just my view, Kimmy, is that the mothers that appear not to care have their reasons. All right. I think if you talk to Beth about her mother that really appeared not to care, and when you hear about how the things she struggled with, you get to understand it wasn't that she didn't care. She just, had other problems of her own that she didn't know how to deal with. And therefore, any other extra stress was a nuisance. And I totally understand that. If any of you ever lived in, grown up with addictions in your families, be it alcohol or drugs or whatever, you will know it's not that people don't care. It's just their mentality is skewed, if you like. Yes, just saying, I do read a lot of psychology stuff too, to have a better understanding of the mind and what people do and why they do it. Yes. And what I love, Nyasha, is that you bother to discuss things that you don't understand, and you no longer think you're stupid for not understanding stuff. It is just you need to hear it a different way. All right. And what I found with you is that you actually are a very smart cookie. What you do need to do is to have things explained in a way that you can see the picture. The words alone don't necessarily do it for you. You really get it when you can, paint the picture for yourself in your mind. And once you've got it, I've noticed that you've got it big time. You don't mess around. Once you've got it, you go, okay, I understand this now. And now that I understand it, I can change accordingly. I think it's brilliant. I think you've done such great work. Peter Drucker, a very famous business writer, said knowledge has to be improved, challenged, and increased constantly, or it vanishes. How many of you enjoy coming to the broadcast because hopefully every week you learn a little bit more? You see, that's a really important thing to understand, that you are natural born learners. You love to learn. Otherwise, why would you spend this time? Jodi's saying her mom had serious issues that interfered with her ability to show care and concern in a practical way. Absolutely. Jodi, I believe, and a lot of us grew up in those sort of households, all right? Kimmy's saying, I did try to talk to my mom even to the end, but she would not say anything to give me reasons why. So I was left not knowing why. I just said, it is what it is. Yeah. Kimmy, some of us had that with our parents, and some of us had it in our relationships, in our marriages, or whatever, right? Some people just are not capable of telling that truth. Just not capable. They haven't grown enough emotionally to be able to tell the truth. How many of you can feel that one? Yeah. Because it takes great courage to tell the truth. It takes great humility to tell the truth. It takes great trust in yourself to tell your truth. And so what I would say to you is that be aware that not everybody has grown that much. Not everybody is capable. It is easier for them to fight you and try and control you than it is to listen to you and try and learn. And that's okay. If you understand, as I do, if you understand that everybody is on their own path and everybody is going at the right speed for them, it may not be your speed, but it is the right speed for them. And so you can try and educate them, but they won't listen because they're not in that space yet. And when you can understand it and appreciate that, then you have great emotional intelligence. Nash is saying, Jodi, I think the reason why I had a lack of knowledge was because I wasn't meant to be here. See, I was born very slow. Milestones were reached later than most. Well, I haven't found you very slow, I got to admit. You know, Jody's saying, the day I really took to heart trying to change somebody's ways was unproductive, unrealistic, and basically futile, is the day that I grew emotionally. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean you can't tell your truth, Jody. You can say, I'm really sad that you feel that way because this was my intent. And I found that helps. When people start attacking me because they misunderstand something I said, I go, I'm really sad to hear that you heard it that way. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I'd like to just tell you what my intent was. My intent in doing that was to do A, B, and C, but I can hear that you didn't hear it or see it that way. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I did this for this reason and you perceived it to be for this reason. That's your right. And I will say to them, I understand you have the right to see it that way. I just need you to know it wasn't my intent. Jody's saying, Nyasha, you are an amazing person and you've done magnificent work. Yeah. And really amazing work. So we're going to be challenged with a lot of stuff in the coming weeks. And I have great faith that a lot of you will handle it better than some of your family members. By the way, one of the things in losing the shed was that I also lost my gardening shed. And so now my challenge was, what am I going to do with all the stuff that's in the garden? Now, some of it I sent to storage, but some of it I didn't. Do you know what I did? I took 3 garbage cans that I have, and I hucked stuff in there and put them near my composter, and they are now my garage and my gardening shed. You see, I made plan B. Now, if they complain, about them, I've put them around the back of the house so nobody can see it, and they're tidy. And if the community complains about it, I am not quite sure whether they will have the right to do that. I will ask them, okay, as soon as I get the time to empty stuff out of my garage and put it in my house, I will be able to take those things and put it in my other shed. But I need to be able to put things in my house, and that may not be possible for another season or more. So in the meantime, that's where they're going to be. And, just get pretty clear on that. By the way, one of the things I was thinking about is I lost the shed, but I want to ask, would they allow me to have a greenhouse? Interesting, right? Would they allow me to have a greenhouse? How many of you know I would like a greenhouse in my life? Now you're saying, what's the difference, though? Not much, but I wonder whether they'll go for it. And if so, I want it in writing that it's okay to have it. All right, now this week, for some of you who might not know, on Monday, I went to go and see the 2-bedroom apartment. And I was quite excited about going to see it because it was a bigger place, quite a bit bigger, about a third bigger. And it was on a corner, more windows, all sorts of things. But the most amazing thing was when they opened the door into the apartment, the first thing I realized was it was darker than the place I'm in. Darker. Why? They didn't put the living room on the corner where it would have twice as many windows. They put a bedroom on the corner, a room that can be dark, right? You don't need a bright bedroom. You need a bright living room. And so it was like, why did they put the living room there? That was insane. Why didn't they just put the living room on the corner? But anyway, they're right. And then I found out that the big fridge with the water and the ice cubes, guess what? For some reason, they disconnected that water line to the fridge to make ice and water. Hi, Lizzie, good to see you. And the reason was that apparently it was rerouted via the washroom, and they thought people wouldn't like that. And I'm going, most of us don't know. But anyway, they're right. But I'm going, that's another reason why I don't really need it. Was the kitchen bigger? Yeah. Do I really need that much bigger kitchen? Not really. And so literally it was a case of, as soon as I saw it was darker, my heart dropped a little bit. But it wasn't, I got to make a choice, all right? And I am certain that my insurance people are delighted that I didn't move, because obviously it's cheaper for them for me to stay where I am. But you know, this little place suits me just fine. And so sometimes what we think is going to be better isn't. Was I bitterly disappointed? No. Why? It wasn't about anything other than what works best for me in the winter. What will work best for me in the winter? I am quite certain that this will do just fine. All right, and Niash is saying the past is already written, I cannot do anything about it. But my future is now. No, your present is now, and things you can do. Your future, you know, we don't know whether we've got anything. You know, we don't know whether they're going to be alive next week, if you think about it, right? And so really, all you can deal with is to live every day to the best of your ability. Lizzie's saying, I'm in the midst of writing a research paper, but was procrastinating and thought I'd drop in to see how everybody is. Well done, Lizzie. We're so glad to see you. And how is school going? So, you know, some of you will have noticed that I really, and somebody said this to me recently, you know, Sal, you really practice what you preach. And I thought I would, you know, remind you that all these things that I'm doing, I've been taking one step at a time, really not worrying about everything. Every day I concentrate on one thing. For example, Lizzie, one of the things I've been procrastinating about was doing a lot of admin stuff for the insurance people. And I decided that, yeah, I would take one day and I wouldn't do anything else until that part was done. And I felt so much better for doing it. And I still have another major project to do on the insurance side. But again, I'll take another day and say on that day, that's all I need to concentrate on is doing that. And I will give it, as you know, at least, I always say I will give it at least an hour. And it's amazing how much time, how much work I can get into 1 hour. Now then, I was also thinking that I am way behind on Christmas. Is anybody else? Now, why? Because I was way ahead on Christmas back in July. And I was way ahead in August. And then September was the fire. And so all my way ahead Christmas will have to be way ahead for next year because they are all in storage now. I need to redo Christmas in my mind. And so that's part of what I'm going to be talking to you about. Lizzie saying, it's good today. I told myself the same thing. I've been sitting here since 11 a.m. Yes. And so one step at a time really works. So I've decided that I am now going to restart Christmas. All right. I'm not going to get upset because, you know, all that wonderful, remember, all that wonderful vanilla essence is busy brewing. It's going to be even better by next year. Right. So when I get it back, it'll be even better for the following year. You know, I'm thinking about, do I want to get my machines out of storage and redo all the Christmas cards, or do I just send regular Christmas cards this year? I'm certain everybody will understand. All right. And why I'm thinking about how do I do this with the least stress? And so, but if I do nothing, I will start stressing out because I haven't made a plan and I'm going to be behind times. I know that my overseas cards are going to need to be in the mail at the end of November, if possible. Yeah, Lizzie, that's what I'm saying. This year, I'm going to send regular Christmas cards and just say to them, sorry, it's not a fancy one this year, but you know why. Everything I make the fancy cards with is in storage until, my house is rebuilt. So hopefully I will be around to make you a fancy one next year. Which is like, And while we're talking about that, let me ask you, what are your feelings about Christmas cards? How many of you still enjoy getting a Christmas card? All right. And how many of you don't like getting a digital Christmas card, for example? Lizzie's saying it's the effort it takes to send a card with the love and thought behind it that counts. Yes. Nyasha saying, I think regular Christmas cards, those who truly know you would understand. I think so as well, Nyasha. And if they don't, so be it, right? And Lizzie's saying that she loves Christmas cards. Kimmy's saying, I do, but nobody sends them anymore. Well, be that person who does, Kimmy. Be that person that takes the time to send Christmas cards this year. And just say, with all that's going on in the world, I don't know if this is the last card I ever get to send. In case it is, I thought I'd send you a real one, something like that. And Jody's saying, I love getting cards in the mail. It's a beloved tradition. Yeah. And Kimmy's saying, hey, I'm even lucky if I get a digital card. Yes. And you see, be grateful for that. If you're going, well, they only send me a digital one, be grateful that they send you something. I don't know how many of you have noticed this, but how many of you have found that you just don't phone people the way that you used to? I don't. I do almost all my correspondence with people, where they don't hear my voice. And that's really sad to me. So what I've started to do, as you know, I've started to really plan FaceTime, or I'm an Android, so it's not FaceTime, but, to have meetings with people online so that they can hear my voice and see my reactions and be aware. And so, to me, I'm only as lonely as I want to be. And I've noticed that living in an apartment, as I thought, was way lonelier than living where I was. Way lonelier, right? You don't see anybody. I very rarely even see anybody in the elevator. I don't take it very often because I take the stairs because it's safe. But, if I do go, very rarely there's somebody in the elevator. So, all right, so Jody's saying, my mother-in-law has saved every Christmas card she ever received for decades. She makes beautiful holiday decorations with them. Yes, I was thinking that wouldn't it be nice to make placemats out of them, for example? And especially as they are more and more rare now. And by the way, how many of you got a store of Christmas cards you've never sent? They are, you bought them. I've got a box full of Christmas cards somewhere, right? I keep buying them every year and then I don't send them all. So there's still some left over. And I'm thinking, that'd be really nice to make some Christmas placemats for people. Okay, Nyasha. And thank you for being here. We enjoyed having you here as usual. So think about that. And not difficult to do. Yeah. I also, how many of you got wrapping paper that you could tear up and make into placemats? I know somebody who takes a lot of their pictures and, for Christmas, they actually put wrapping paper in those picture frames over whatever the picture is, just for the Christmas season, and then they take it out again. It's a lovely idea, I think. I definitely have to tell you, I am starting to feel a little bit of this frustration of things being in storage now. You know, I got over the first wave. I need to decide what I want to pull out of storage and what I don't. And the difficulty is I don't know whether I'm going to be here for 2 months or 6. Right, that's the thing. And so maybe Jeannie can help me here. Jeannie, from your, how long do they think it will take to rebuild your house? And because, you know, it's like, I don't know how long it's going to take to get the permits. None of us do. I know it takes longer here than it is in the States, but, you know, it could take another couple of months before the permits come in which case they won't even be starting until the new year. And then, you know, all right, so Jody's saying plan for 6, but hope for 2. Well, you know, I've planned to be here until the spring for sure. And, you know, that's just reality now. I don't believe that I will be back home for any of the winter. I think if I'm lucky, it'll be the spring and probably the summer. So, you know, it's just like, if you plan it the difficult way, then I've got to decide what do I need. I definitely need some of my winter clothes now. So I need to get those out of storage. I need my winter coats, my you know, my red duffel coat that you all like so much, and my big down coat that I really love when it's winter. You know, I need to get those out of storage. I need to get some, you know, warmer clothes out as well. So, but the question is, do I really need all my kitchen stuff? I don't know. Where would I put it? The other thing is you know, do I really need my Christmas decorations this year? I don't think so. Could I bring out my Christmas tree and bring it here and put it up? Yes. Do I really want to do that? I don't think so, quite honestly. It's just more stuff to move back again, right? Interesting. Kaz is saying, I've seen thrifters buy vintage cards and use them in their homes for decor. Yes, and show how they have used them to look really nice. Hi there, Farmer. Good to see you. One of the things I love to do any of you have the slatted blinds on your windows? Because what I used to do is I used to put my Christmas cards in the slats. And so, you know, it made a really nice wall of color. So, and by the way, if somebody sends you a digital card, take a screenshot and print it. I've done that a couple of times. You know, it's just like, you can do it if you really want the card, you can do it. How are things in Oz, Farmer? You're good. All right, we're pleased. And Tracy is good too? By the way, last week I was talking to you about feeling disappointed in myself about my blood sugar. And I really did make some changes this week. I got more healthy food and I've changed my accountability. I'm working at, you know, taking accountability of what I put in to my body. And I do notice that I seem to do really well until late at night, and then I lose it. So the answer is I need to change what I eat between 9 and 2, you know. And that means that I need to do some better food prepping, because when I was food prepping properly, I didn't have the problem. Now, I have brought my blood sugars down already. The other thing that I realized is I'm not getting the steps in that I used to. You got a bad storm. A farmer saying that I got a bad storm last week. Hail size of tennis balls. Tracy's car got written off. Wow. Luckily, it was fully insured. This is amazing. Wow. Interesting. Kimmy's saying she craves salt, which luckily I've basically given up salt. I actually don't like putting salt in food. And I've cooked for other people for the longest time. And I will say to them, just need to warn, I don't put salt in my food. So, load up with salt if that's what you like. The same way as, I'm allergic to garlic, so I don't put garlic in my food. All right, so Jody is saying, Sal, maybe some carrots with peanut butter and a bit of honey at night. That's what I was thinking. What do I enjoy eating? And maybe you're right in that, Jody, which is if I allow myself the peanut butter and honey, maybe that ends up being less calories than the stuff. So Kimmy saying, I have to resist the cravings for salt. No, you don't have to, Kimmy, but the price you will pay on your heart makes it a choice that you might want to consider. Nobody can force us, the same as nobody can force me to stop eating the Halloween candy I've got left. I'm working on the principle. I allow myself, where are they? I love these things. So what I do, these are real fruit gummies. And what I do is every night I allow myself a couple of these. Now it was 4, I'm down to 2 now. and the box is, I think the box is getting pretty empty now because it was a big box. Yeah, I love them to bits, but they don't love me. And I realize I really do carry my weight in my stomach. I saw myself sideways today and I went, I do not like this. And this is like, I'm not getting the steps in and I am not eating as well. And only I can change that. Quite simple. I had time to improve what I eat again and go back to what I was doing that was working. How about this one? Carol Gilligan said that the hardest times for me were not when people challenged what I said, but when I felt my voice was not heard. And that's why I said, when you hear people of opposing views, the most important thing you can start with is, wow, I hear you on that. All right, let them know you heard them and preferably ask them a question about what they were talking about. Well, Farmer's saying his daily step average is 25,000. You and Beth, yeah, amazing. Liz is saying, oh, me too. I'm apple shaped, or as I call myself, a lollipop with legs. Yes. I look pregnant, quite honestly. As Sandy's saying, I get the snack craving at night. I'm not sure if it's salt or sweet. I buy Barney butter, almond butter, to keep it in my room. I take a partial spoon of it and it helps. Yes. I bought some no sugar added Smucker's jam. And what I do is I will take a slice of sourdough, multigrain sourdough that I make, and just put some of that raspberry jam on rather than eat the candy. All right. Kimmy's saying our town is having a COVID outbreak. They closed a bank and a gas station. Not many people wear masks, distance, or keep out of crowds. Yeah, there's an outbreak where I am, and I have somebody that invited me to lunch on Monday, and I said, how about you come here for lunch? How about you come here? I feel safer if I don't go into restaurants this week. Now, my question is, will I still go for the Chinese? And the reason I probably will still go for the Chinese this week is because that restaurant, we are normally the only people in the restaurant. It's amazing. It's like, a couple of people walk in and walk straight out again because they get takeout, but we're normally the only people sitting. So I might risk that. So we'll see how I feel. I don't have to make that decision until Sunday. By the way, I did go to the house and I took some fresh made bread to my neighbor because I know she loves the bread that I make. And she was saying, I love your bread so much. Part of me thinks I need to learn how to make it. And it was really funny. Can you imagine that my feelings were sad? Because at the moment, it's the one thing I can do for her that I know she really appreciates. But if she starts making her own, what will I do to thank her? But I probably will teach her anyway. You know that. Farmer's saying that Tracy made banana bread the other day. Liz is saying, we avoid most restaurants, but I'm close to all of the hotspots, so have to be extra cautious. Yes. I'm amazed, Lizzie, at the numbers from Quebec. It's amazing how, all the other provinces seem to be, fairly, they're all having an upswing, which we expected because it's the fall. But I'm amazed what's happening in Quebec. That's scary to see. But, it is what it is, right? So, did they just not listen to the rules or something? Now then, I want to ask you a question. Have any of you really seen the map of the state of Michigan? Now, during the time of the election results coming in, for some reason, I pulled up the map of Michigan, and I didn't know that it had this little extra bit of a peninsula that, basically it's in completely the wrong place. And it's on top of Wisconsin. So why wasn't that little bit of land given to Wisconsin? Why did it go to Michigan, who's across the lake? That's like my mind. I cannot leave that question in my mind. So I had to go check it out because I'm interested. And I'm certain if any of you are interested, you will do the same thing. But I went, wow, I didn't know that. And quite honestly, until this election, I didn't know that part of Michigan is sitting on the other side of the lake. And it was just like, how did I live a lifetime and not know that? And, I guess it just never saw the map before. But I'm going, now I understand a bit better. And it's a bit like, as some of you may know, we've got a little bit of the US that is hanging off part of Canada, and it sits all on its own on the end and the tip of a peninsula. There's this little bit that hangs below the 49th parallel, and it's called Point Roberts. And, if ever I have visitors from overseas, Big Brother Jeff or anybody else, I take them there and take them through the little border crossing that's there. And they're going, what is this? And I show them on the map how stupid this is. Like, why did they do that? Why did they not just leave that in Canada? It's the smallest amount. I don't know how many square, it can't even be a square mile. So, well, maybe it is. I'll have to check what the actual size of it is, but it's just like, they call it the Up, I believe. Yes. And Jodie's saying that the Upper Peninsula, yes. And then she said they call it Yoop. I know they call it Up. I didn't know Yoop. That's interesting. So, but isn't it amazing? If there hadn't been the election, I wouldn't have seen that map. If I hadn't seen the map, I would have queried it, and then I started doing some research into the history of it, and I went, oh, I see, that makes sort of sense. Yeah, like Alaska. Good point, Kimmy. Yeah, how did we end up with that? How did you guys end up with that? Alaska is big though, and I understand that because of the minerals below it. Yeah, Kimmy's saying there are parts of the U.S. that are more like Canada. Yeah, and things. But I understand Alaska more than and also it gave them control of what was happening coming from Russia. And I think from a defense point of view, I understood that. But it's pretty interesting, isn't it? But it was just like this tiny little bit at the end. It's like the up, but it just, it literally. Where's my? Some of you have seen the videos I've taken when I've taken somebody there. But it's literally, if this is the 49th parallel, and this is Canada, and this is the US, okay, there is this little bit of Canada that goes like this, but then it goes like this, and then carries on. And it's literally the tip of this peninsula that is American. And you have to go through this complete border, and you have to, I went there for dinner once, and I had to literally take my passport to go to dinner. I mean, really. And guess who forgot her passport one time when I had to do that? Yeah. But luckily, in those days, it was just like a little sentry box. Now it's a complete thing. In those days, it was just like a little sentry box when I first came to Canada. And it was like a beefeater sitting in there. That's what it reminded me of, outside Buckingham Palace, one of those little boxes. And it was just like, I went, I forgot my passport. I forgot this was in the States. And he went, mm-hmm. And he said, how far away do you live? I said, an hour. So he said, so if you go all the way home and come back again, you're going to be 2 hours late? I said, basically, yeah. And he said, what's the dinner? I said, it's a Rotary thing. And he said, behave yourself. He let me in. I was quite surprised. So let's have a real look at our feelings today and this week. There are going to be lots of challenges in the courts, all right, on the election. And we should expect that and be grateful for it, because it is our democracy in action. And should we have the right to challenge? Yes. Now, some of you are saying, but the challenges are stupid. No, they are people that are fearful of losing their votes. I don't think that's stupid. I think they should be allowed to do that. So, did any of you get angry this week? And Sandy's saying, Sal, I didn't get taken there the one time I visited BC. Well, that's because you didn't come and visit me, Sandy. No, if I have visitors, I normally show them how stupid. I don't know why. It always amuses me. I think because it had such an impact on me, because it's so pretty. It is so tiny. It's like a little fishing village. Like it's just cute. But there's nothing there but a little harbor. And like, why did they want to hang on to this? I have no idea. So, I think it's, interesting. So expect there to be lots of court challenges this week, right? Don't get angry about it. Be thankful you live in a democracy. Don't get bent out of shape by it. Just go trust the process. Please trust the process. Trust the courts to uphold the law. Now you're saying, yeah, but the courts have been loaded. Don't get that. Just trust that there are good people who will make good decisions based on the law. You might not agree with it, but it is the law. Okay. And I have been coping with all sorts of new things in my life. And overall, I'm doing pretty well. Overall, I have kept my feelings under control. I haven't been perfect. I've got angry. I chewed my nails. But, overall, I'm quite proud of how I've been coping. Liz is saying that my friend is moving to Salt Spring Island in BC. I've never been there, but it sounds nice from what she's told me. It has lots of sheep on it. I've been there many times, not many times, probably about 10 times. And it is really pretty. And there are a lot of very creative people who live there. It is fun. It is really, it's like, it is a community all of its own. They make great cheese there. Yeah, and Lizzie's saying, oh, then it's way up her alley then. Yeah, it's very, very creative people are there. Is it true that they've closed the border so we can't move? Yes, we have closed the border. We've had the border closed since the pandemic, and it's not open yet. It's open for emergencies, but it's not open for regular tourist type stuff. And as Kimmy said, the interesting thing is a lot of Americans are coming across because they're trying to get to Alaska, but they have to prove that they went to Alaska. You know what I mean? Because some people that was their reason for coming in. They'd use that as excuse. Well, actually, we're going to Alaska. And then they found a lot of people weren't doing that. They were just visiting, and they stopped that. I think they have to prove, when they go back in, they have to prove that they've been to Alaska. So life as we know it has changed. None of us expected this year. None of us expected this election to go the way that it's going, I'm pretty sure. And so life is new. And we have lots of feelings, but quite honestly, the sooner we get off that hamster wheel and deal with the facts, the happier we are. And so I would ask you, please don't get all bent out of shape this week because of all the challenges that there will be politically. Please don't get bent out of shape. Just go, you know something? I had my vote. I did what I could. Now it is up to the numbers and the law. And I am okay with that because I am happy to live in a country that allows this to happen. And I think when you can remember that, things make it a lot better. This is DearMamaSal saying, dealing with our own feelings about everything is what makes us realize whether we have some sort of control or not. It is okay to feel. It is okay to be frustrated. It is okay to be a little angry. It is okay to be sad or to be happy or to be whatever. What does the damage is how long you stay there. All right? And to understand that good or bad, feelings are just feelings. They're not facts. This is DearMamaSal saying, we'll see you again this evening when we'll be talking about life, how to cope with life. And who knows, we might even have a decision by then, by the looks of it. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting one another. Thank you for making it easier for so many people by sharing your stories. I really, really appreciate that. Lizzie, keep up the good work. And Farmer, great to see you. And hope that Tracy gets a really pretty new car. This is DearMamaSal saying, thanks, Jody. Bye-bye for now.